Hello and welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Chainsaw. I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
Well, this week we are going back into the 80s. Or is it the 90s? Gosh, it's one of those movies.
89. Yeah.
89, okay. 1989 movie called Curse 2, The Bite, or sometimes simply known as The Bite, which was directed by Federico Prosperi, the only film that he has directed. Actually, I mean, it's kind of well directed, honestly, and it's well shot. And it's the second in a series of movies that does, I think, what Silent Night, Deadly Night kind of did, which is you take this movie that did really, really well, and then you take another movie that has nothing to do with it, and you just tack on a sequel title to it and try to write off the coattails of that. And apparently it was successful for this movie. This was released straight to video in 89 and apparently did really well after Curse did well as well. And I think it led to two other sequels that are in the similar vein that have nothing to do with each other. Curse 3 and Curse 4, which stars Christopher Lee. I think, personally, we need to get to every movie in this series because it seems about as batshit crazy as this one.
Yeah, the first two are the only ones I've seen.
Oh, you've only seen the first two. Okay, so you'd seen this before. I hadn't. What made you decide to do this?
Oh, well, it was silly. I hadn't thought of this movie in years, but I was looking at Bloody Disgusting, and the Anaconda reboot came out a week or two ago. And sometimes when movies come out, they're like, here are some other snake movies that you could watch. And this was one of them, and I remembered it fondly without really remembering why I remembered it fondly. One of the reasons is nostalgia. This is one of those movies that takes me back to riding bikes with my cousin, riding to the video store, perusing the wall of movies, and this was one that I think I don't know if they were ever as excited about horror movies as I was. I think they just indulged me, but whatever. We had a good time. I really enjoyed the first one. The first one has Will Wheaton in it. I think it was his first movie. And it's gross and body horror and fun and 80s. And I really liked it. So when I saw this one, I was excited to pick it up off the shelves. And honestly, I don't remember how we necessarily exactly responded to it at the time. But I imagine that we probably really dug it.
Yeah, I'll bet you did.
It's the kind of thing exactly we were looking for, gross and cool effects and, pretty people. Both of the main actors are very attractive and likable, which I think is one of the things that the movie has going for it the most. Like, I really like the central characters.
I mean, it's definitely a movie of its time. This is, like you said, it's a time capsule for me, and I didn't even watch it before. I don't have the memories associated with you do, but what I do have is the memories associated with these 80s movies where it's all jazz, saxophone, or synth score with dark streets and smoke coming around. Like, there's so much smoke and dark streets and rainy, wet streets in this. That it did take me back. And of course, also what took me back is the cast. It's just full of TV actors, which is very typical for low-budget horror movies at this time. This was back in the day, and we've talked about this before, but it's back in the day when there wasn't much crossover between television actors or movie actors. Once you chose one and got successful in one, you were typically kind of stuck in that medium, and nobody really took you seriously if you tried to go from television to film. But a lot of TV actors would do some horror movies to try to get their film chops up, and many ended up making successful crossovers, or at least popping into the film world every now and then. For me, oh my God, seeing Jamie Farr in this was hilarious because that guy is a staple of television and movies, I suppose.
Yeah.
But Jesus, Jamie Farr.
I know. Well, I mean, I even recognize the name, but he's so recognizable both in face and voice. I was like, gosh, I know this guy. Where do I know him from? And I pulled up his IMDb. I was like, oh, the 80s, everywhere. Like,
everything.
He was on
everywhere.
He was on every television show. Like, he was just
wasn't he
literally all over the place.
I want to say he was a regular
so.
on MASH. Yeah, I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure he was.
That sounds right.
I saw him in person. He came to what's that theater in Kansas City where the dinner theater? Is it still around?
I don't know.
Used to be
I'm
real
not sure.
popular. There's a dinner theater in Kansas City I used to go to pretty regularly whenever I could drive in and get the chance. And they would always have some headliner there in the show that was some typically like a older actor who's a little past their prime, but going out doing live theater and stuff. And Jamie Farr was in, oh God, what was it? Whatever he was in, it was charming because this guy is kind of the same in everything he plays, but he's just such a nice, charming dude that I enjoy seeing him up there. And he's got this crazy, incredible voice too. Anyway, I really liked seeing him in this, even if it felt just a little bit incongruent. He really, I think, provided the humor for the film. But it's such a weird plot. It's so bizarre. And when you break it on down, it's really just about a guy and his struggles with his snake hand and the woman who loves him.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, it's funny. I'm not getting the impression that you were particularly impressed. As I was watching it, I was like, oh man. I thought it was super fun. Like I don't know. There was a lot going on that I really liked.
It was fun for me. No, don't get me wrong. It was really, really fun. But I did kind of remark at how not a lot is happening. There's a lot going on, but it's all kind of like samey, right? Once this guy gets bitten,
Right.
and he's got a snake arm, it's really just they're traveling across the country and this guy's going after them, and that's it, until the very end.
Yeah. I concede that it drags a little bit in the middle, but I don't know. I just really like the premise. Like you said, the Curse movies, they have really nothing in common other than the title, except for both this movie and the first one are body horror movies and good. Like, this is great 80s effects done by Screamin' Mad George, who did, I think, Predator, and what else is he? I mean, he's done a bazillion things.
Society. Don't forget Society.
Yeah. He did the cockroach motel kill scene in not Dream Warriors. Whatever, part 4.
Yeah, part 4, Dream Master.
Dream
Hammer Elm
Master,
Street.
which is one of my favorite kills in that whole franchise. But yeah, he's done tons of stuff and it's all practical. And does it all look amazing? No, some of it actually looks kind of corny, but it's just really fun to see and to watch. And the setup is pretty simple. We open with a very vague shot of the desert, and it says Yellow Sands Nuclear Base, Arizona, and guys in hazmat suit catch a snake. That's it.
Yep.
That's kind of all we're given.
That's your explanation.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Scientists were messing with snakes, and now we're going to have a snake problem.
Do you think there's some implication that there is like some kind of like nuclear testing or something going on? I mean, it's never
I think
said,
so.
but I just figured.
I do think so, yeah. Because later some guy says, like, they poison the ground, they poison the water. That sounds like maybe nuclear testing. I don't know.
It's a handy catch-all.
Yeah. We're immediately introduced to this really attractive young couple. Clark, who's played by a guy named J. Eddie Peck, who's very handsome. Really nice backside on that one. But I think that he is still on daytime soap that he's been on for a while, if I remember correctly, but he was doing other stuff around this time.
I think he's been on The Young and the Restless since like the mid-90s, and he's still going. But then there was also All My Children and Days of Our Lives, very long runs on those. Was that around the time you stopped watching? I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't remember him from Days of Our Lives, but I didn't explore it at length. So maybe if I had my memory refreshed, I don't know. But anyway, and his girlfriend is, and I say girlfriend, you find out later that they really haven't been together very long.
Yeah, that surprised me when she said that. I was like, what? You guys seemed like you were really, really settled and into each other. And then she's like, you barely know me. I was like, what?
Right. We've only been together 2 weeks. I was like, wow. I mean, they really settled in fast.
They sure did.
But she's played by Jill Schoelen, who had a moment here in the late 80s. The thing that I remember her from and that we've done is Popcorn, in which she was the lead. But she's done some other stuff too. She's very pretty and she has a very distinctive husky voice, which is sexy. She sings at some point in the movie, and I was surprised to find that she actually has a really pleasant singing voice. But I just thought, not that the acting was amazing, but I just felt that these two leads had a chemistry and such comfort together that I believed them and I liked them, and I was glad that we were going to be with them for a while.
They did feel real. One of the things that this movie really has going for it is the quality of the acting. I mean, we've seen a lot of cheesy stuff and weird straight-to-video stuff, and I think this movie at least is well acted by everybody, almost everybody involved. Even if some of the characters are kind of caricatures and silly, these two had a dynamic, I think you're right, that worked and that made sense and felt believable. I was just shocked that she stayed with him for so long. She only knew this guy for 2 weeks. Like,
Yeah.
she's dedicated. She had to be really. The sex must have been really good.
Well, it was hot to watch.
I mean, whatever you could see of it, it was all in darkness. Again,
True.
typical 80s silhouette darkness. And it was
Yeah, like silhouetted against like a blue screen. Yeah, that's great.
with a saxophone playing.
And you say that some of the characters are really, like caricatures, and they're driving through the desert and they stop at a gas station where the gas station attendant is like, she sure do got a pretty mouth.
Oh, God. I thought it was great that this movie basically opens with the gas station scene. I mean, they're getting right into it.
Yes. I knew you would at least appreciate that with the gas station guys. I sure wouldn't go that away if I were you.
And he gets in the car and he's like, we're going that way.
Yeah, we're going. I don't know what's wrong with that guy. I'm taking the shortcut. Yeah. So they take it anyway. And then you get the title sequence where you see that there are snakes everywhere in this jungle. Yeah. Snakes in the jungle, the desert. Snakes in the sand. Snakes in the fences. Snakes all over the highway. Just snakes everywhere.
Yeah. This place got infested with snakes. I guess the army didn't do such a good job of picking them up. But yeah, and then they run over a bunch of snakes, and there must be snakes for miles, because how long the scene stretches on where it's showing them running over piles and piles of snakes in the highway. And then they're just like looking down. Oh my God, will this ever end?
This was
wow.
This was probably my favorite part. Right before that, they had stopped, and she had almost gotten bit by a snake, but he shot it. And we see snake POV as snake crawling into their car. So we know that there's a car in there, or excuse me, there's a snake in the, there's a snake in the car with them now. And then there's that nest of snakes that covers the road. Now, I didn't watch the credits closely, and I don't recall reading anything in the trivia about how they shot this scene. It sure looked like real snakes.
Yeah, I mean, it did. I don't think so. I think they're rubber snakes. A lot, they were flying up in the air. I sort of feel like if you were riding over real snakes in this, that they would more or less just kind of squish. And
maybe,
I don't know, they were bouncing around an awful lot to be real snakes, I think. But you're right, it looked real, and I asked myself the exact same thing, because sometimes these Italian productions, they were not too kind to the animals.
And the scene of them running them over probably doesn't take more than 10-15 seconds, I don't know, but I was watching it on YouTube, and I guess by default the subtitles were on, and I didn't turn them off, but they weren't like the official subtitles. They were like the YouTube subtitles.
Oh.
And when they start running them over and the snakes are spraying everywhere and blood spraying everywhere, he says, "My God, what is that?" And she screams his name twice, Clark. But the subtitles were, "My God, what is that? Pork." And I laughed for a solid minute. Like, all these snakes flying around. Pork. It's hilarious. Looks really good.
Yeah. Well, I do wonder if they shot. There's a scene a little bit later where a snake gets shot, and it sure looks like they probably just shot a snake. Although, who knows, Screaming Mad George could do some pretty good effects, as we will see later. They end up at a gas station. It looks kind of abandoned, but then there's a dude inside who sticks a rifle through the door. Again, we get two gas station scenes now. This one reminded me a little bit of The Hills Have Eyes. You remember there's that one
Yes.
gas station out
Yes.
in the middle of the desert that's surrounded by danger. And why this guy is still out there, we don't know.
Right.
But there he is. And maybe because he's a little crazy. He's complaining about underground nuclear testing. A snake bite killed his dog. Did that actually happen, or did I just have in my notes that he's talking?
No, it did. He says Clark sees a picture of a dog and says, nice looking dog. And he's like, yeah, she was. He's like, what happened to her? Snake bite.
Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah, and I don't know. He, talks, like you said, he talks about like the effects of the nuclear testing or whatever. And like the snake watches Lisa put on some pants. That was funny.
Yeah. Pervy snake POV. I think that's hilarious. I also love, we've got this other thing that you often see in these movies where on his way to the bathroom, Clark ends up exploring a barn.
It's the Goonies. No, it's not a barn. Like he's going down, I don't know, it's inside the station or something, but he has to go through these like dark corridors or whatever, and he hears a strange noise off to the side.
It looks like a barn because suddenly the underground is a whole bunch of boarded walls with light streaming through them. I swear that was a barn. I mean, it must have been shot in a barn. Couldn't have been under.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's the gas station. He goes in, so I don't know if it's like some kind of shop or whatever. Yeah, so he's on his way to the bathroom, but he hears a weird noise and he looks, but the attendant catches him and kicks him out before he can see what's going on. But it sounds like a dog whimpering, which confuses him because he thought the dog was dead. And he's like, I thought you said your dog was dead. And the guy's like, I said a lot of things. And then kicks him out.
And then later, the attendant, we see him trying to coax this thing out, this dog, from under the table. And he gets attacked. And it's interesting filming. I mean, I think it was great. Sometimes these low-budget movies try not to show their hand too early because they don't want to, maybe they don't have such great special effects or they want to save the monster for later. But we get to see little bits and pieces of the monster throughout this. And this was kind of an interesting mix of slow-mo, close-up shots, puppetry. It looks like this weird half-snake head with fangs that
yeah, you get the gist of it.
And bites him in the head. Yeah, you get more or less the gist, but you do get to see a bit of it, but it looks like it's like The Thing, it's kind of a formless mass with recognizable parts, and I like that. And it bites his head, and it's all in silhouette, but that was pretty brutal. Then we click back to Clark and Lisa and their trip across the country. By the way,
yeah,
do we know where they're going?
I think they're just road tripping. Like, I think that they're just planning on stopping and going to bars and dancing and stuff and having a good time.
I guess so.
I don't know. They never mention a destination that I can recall. But you're right. They stop at this motel and there's, people out and about at the motel or whatever. And she reaches into the car to like get the birds. She has these birds in a cage, and I don't know, something spooks her, or the birds are spooked or something, and so Clark's like, hold on a second, get back, and he reaches in there and he gets bit, presumably by a snake, and all of these people who are outside run around trying to help, and one of the little girls, I think her name's Heather, is like, there it is, I see it, it's slithering away. And Lisa's like, are you sure? And the mom's like, if my Heather said it, it's true. So stupid. So stupid.
Yep.
And there's this other guy, Harry, Jamie Farr, who appeared, he's just staying at the motel, but he presents himself, and I have in my notes, Harry is a doctor, and he tells them not to worry. He takes a look at the bite and he's like, oh, that's just a chicken snake bite, it's not a big deal, if I give you this antidote you'll be fine. And they're like, okay. So he gives the antidote, and then Clark's like, thanks doc, and he's like, oh, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. What was he anyway?
So funny.
I have no idea.
He's just a businessman.
Yeah, the random businessman.
Yeah, he's some kind of traveling businessman. He knows the roads. He knows the truckers on the roads, and they all know him. I don't know what his business is, but
It's never clear.
God, can you imagine? Can you imagine somebody like offering you medical aid and like administering
From his suitcase.
an injection?
Right.
Like, thanks, doctor. And they're, oh no, I'm not a doctor. Like,
What?
what are you doing? Why do you have anti-venom and syringes in your suitcase? I guess just be prepared or whatever.
I guess. Yeah, that's pretty funny. There's another dude with him.
Oh, right.
He's the hotel manager. He literally says, and I'm the hotel manager. I'm the guy checking you in or something. And that's another one of our very famous actors, Sidney Lassick, who, I mean, One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest. His character in that, the kind of neurotic, weird dude. He again, the character he plays in almost every movie that he's in. And he's been in a lot, like Carrie. And I mean, you see him and immediately you're like, oh, that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been everywhere.
Lady in White, he was in that.
And I was surprised to see the two of them together in this scene. And then Sidney Lassick, I don't think he really ever comes back. You know, I don't know the trajectory of these guys' careers. I'm guessing Jamie Farr was nearing the twilight of his television career.
Maybe nearing it, but he was still kind of in the thick of it at that point, I think. Still late 80s, yeah.
I honestly was just kind of surprised to see them both in this scene, and though neither of them I would consider A-list actors, I thought that their presence and their presence together lended a legitimacy to the movie that I didn't expect.
Oh, it sure did, yeah. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I thought the same thing. I was like, these two guys are in this movie. This is a bigger thing than I thought for a direct to... But, you know, you're right. Neither of them are A-list. They're just like really,
Working
really
actors.
recognizable and very working and
Right.
very well respected. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
yeah.
And you'll definitely, if you're anywhere near our age, anywhere near, you will 100% recognize both of these guys. And then there's the sex scene in the hotel, which I really thought was sexy. Like, I don't know if I was in some kind of mood or something, but I was like, God, they are both so hot, and like they're so hot together, and like,
Yeah, but
oof,
it's like 10 seconds long and then it ends abruptly. It was so jarring how I almost felt like it had been cut.
maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it might have been, but yeah, I mean, it's going. It's like, oh, this is kind of cool, and then boom, she's in the shower, and there's more snake POV in the motel room. Like, well, that was quick.
Yes, this was my favorite snake POV. It took me just a second, but a second to realize that it was crawling out of the guitar. It had been in the guitar this whole time.
Realize.
Yeah, and it slithers onto the bed, and something that I don't quite understand. There's a big slime motif in the movie
Yes.
that I don't really get. Like, the way that she first is alerted that something is awry is she picks up her panties and they are covered in slime. And then she sees the snake slithering around under the sheets and she destroys her guitar, killing it, which I couldn't believe she did that. I was like,
Yeah.
do something else. That's an expensive guitar.
Right.
But I have in my notes, it puts up a fight, but then she, when Clark comes back, he's like, it must have been in the guitar case the whole time. And I just put in my notes, that little bitch, Heather, was a liar. She's got her mom snowed.
I think it's interesting that Harry, Jamie Farr's character, knows so much about snake.
Yeah,
He must sell that venom or something. That's got to be it.
maybe.
Because he knows a lot about snake. He knows a lot about snakes. He knows a lot about venom, and he immediately comes in. I think, because the maid. So the couple leaves, and they just leave the bloody snake there. And the maid comes running out screaming, and that brings the two of them back in, Jamie and his buddy. And he looks at it and immediately gives us the whole spiel that movies do. Oh, this isn't the snake I thought it was. This is a Bushmaster snake. They're mutant snakes, and this is terrible. If that kid doesn't get the right antidote, he's going to die. I need to go find him. As though altruism isn't enough, he's getting threatened apparently, or he gets this notion put in his head by another friend that if he doesn't find this kid and give him the right venom and get him to sign some kind of agreement that he's not going to sue him, then he's going to lose his license. His license to do what? I don't know, but he's going to lose everything because he's going to get sued.
Yeah.
So Yeah, he's not a doctor, but he's afraid of losing some license anyway.
The guy, his friend, George, Sidney Lassick, is like, but you didn't do anything wrong. You tried to help. You gave him that antidote. And he's like, oh, yeah, there were witnesses when I gave that antidote. So he calls his lawyer, and his lawyer says, you're going to be charged with administering medications without a medical license. And especially if he dies, you're going to be completely liable for his death. And I think that's legit. Like, he's probably right.
Yeah, you're probably
You
right.
shouldn't be, especially, any medication, but especially intravenous antidotes or whatever.
It'd be one thing if you just gave him a pill. It's another thing when you like injected him with stuff. That's a whole other
Right,
level.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so he's in pursuit and he remains in pursuit. This is also kind of a weird road movie.
Yeah.
So they're on the road. He's in pursuit. He's looking for them. He's like calling all his trucker friends. His trucker friends are keeping an eye out, whatever.
You can't gloss over this scene about his trucker friends. This is another little time capsule. There was this period of time between the 70s and the 80s where everybody was like interested in this the life of truckers and how they're on their CBs all the time and chattering back and forth. And I think I talked about this on an earlier episode that song Convoy came out and there was even a movie about it. It was Chris Christopherson. And I mean, every now and then when you're in a movie from the 80s, you see this whole trucker thing coming up and I'm like, oh, this is cute and fun. And I remember this. And, when we went on road trips, my family did not stay in hotels. We were in a camper that we drove around, and we would drive for a whole day or two just to get to where we were going. We never got to take an airplane or anything like that. And my dad had a CB in the car. He had a CB in there just in case there was anything wrong. Like, it was mostly for emergencies.
Sure.
But sometimes he would kick it on, and we would listen in on their chatter.
That seems risky.
Yeah, right, with young kids in the car. Yeah. And he would also do like fuzz checks, which is what they called them, the police or the fuzz. And, you could just get on there. And my dad would do it. He's like, watch this. And he'd be like, yeah, I'm heading east on 70, just past the such and such mile mark, just doing a fuzz check. And then people would get on and be like, oh, you're all clear. Or no, I saw a cop at such and such mile marker. I saw a cop. And I just thought, man, these guys, they're all in it together. And they're all moving in different directions. And how they're able to like do this coordination and even think to remember certain things in case anybody else asks about it. It's like an early version of the internet.
Kind of.
It was so cool. It was really cool. And these characters are very stereotypical. And one of them is Flo. And it's clear that he and Flo have had interactions because they do a little bit of flirting over the CB. And this is where the movie changes tone a little bit. And that surprised me, that suddenly we're in this whole comic scene with him flirting with Flo and the other guys teasing them and these very caricaturish characters with like big beards and no teeth, or this kind of bigger woman who's like coming on to this guy and them all laughing and stuff. It was an interesting change in tone from the rest of it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I 100% agree. They are definitely going for some humor here, but it didn't feel out of place. Like, I didn't find it jarring.
Not really.
I don't know.
But then this is immediately followed by this extremely stylish sequence of going into this cowboy bar. I mean, with this moving camera and the
well, right before that, I don't even remember what the context of their conversation was, but we see a conversation right before they go to this bar where she says something and he's like, "Oh no, I'd kill myself before I'd ever harm a hair on your head," or something like that.
It's a very pointed talk about jealousy based on something she's reading.
Yeah, right. And then they go to this bar. Now, I don't remember this exactly, and you can talk about, the cinematography, what it looked like. I was just more intrigued by the relationship dynamic because he has not been feeling great and he's not really looking great. I mean, he's been bit by a snake. These are things that you could probably anticipate and should probably call for more alarm.
The fact they didn't want to go to a hospital and they just thought this antidote was going to do its thing while he's still not doing well, it was kind of silly.
Yeah, and he's getting worse. I mean, it's slow at first, but it's progressive. But as they're pulling into the city, she's like, "Oh, come on, the music's going to be jumping." And he's like, "No, I really don't feel good. I just want to go to the hotel and go to sleep." She's like, "Oh, come on." And he says, "Okay."
Yeah.
And then they go in there and they're sitting at the bar and they're drinking. And some guy in a bold move comes up and asks her to dance. Now, I wouldn't say that he was rude or inappropriate. I would just say that it was bold.
Yeah.
You know, they're clearly there together. To come up and ask a woman who's clearly there with another man to dance, I don't think is inappropriate, but you might get punched. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
And she says yes, which I also don't think is at all inappropriate. Like, I think that's fine. You can dance with other people. That's not a problem. But the way they dance, I would have gotten jealous.
Yeah. He's definitely putting the moves on her right in front of this other guy. Now, to be fair, the other guy I don't think is even facing them the whole time because he
No, I don't think so either.
But still, you're right. You wouldn't do that. He is feeling really, really bad. And at one point, he taps a fly into his beer. There's like a fly walking around the edge of his beer, and he taps the beer and it falls into the liquid, and he drinks it like very deliberately. So we see something weird is up with him. And I don't know, you've watched enough horror movies, you know exactly what's been going on. But he brings the girl back, and she comes over all smiling, and he wheels around and slaps her and calls her a bitch and goes stumbling off to the bathroom.
Yeah, and he goes stumbling off to the bathroom. This was something that struck me as being very a product of the time, because I can't imagine something like that happening in public and there not being immediate response from the other people around.
Right. Oh, she flies across the room into the table.
And sprawls across the pool table. And they're in a crowded bar. Like, there are people all around who witness this happen and nobody does. I mean, they stand there and look in shock, but they don't do or say anything.
Yeah.
That was weird to me. But yeah, he goes into the bathroom and his hand is looking all gross. And the guy that she was dancing with comes in and is like, you better come out of there. I'll smack you around. You like smacking women or whatever. Clark is literally like curled up on the floor by the toilet. He's shaking. He's sweaty. He looks awful.
Yeah.
And the guy comes.
And Craig, was that a glory hole in front of him? There was a hole in the wall. Did you not notice that?
I may not have noticed. But if there was, then yes, it was.
Let's just call it that. I was a little surprised at how this giant packed bar had a men's room that was completely devoid of any human except for him. I just thought it was crazy. But anyway, they needed to get him alone with this dude. And you're right. This guy comes in and is angry, and he sees Clark cowering in the toilet, and then it doesn't go well for him.
Well, he puts his cigarette out on his bandaged hand, but I don't even really remember. Do we even really see what happens?
No, we really don't see what happens. We just hear like this screaming and stuff. Back at they're back at the hotel immediately after this.
He flies out of the bathroom and grabs her and gets her out of there. So something happened in the bathroom that he's trying to get away from.
Right. You're right. You're right. We don't see anything there. And then, so now she's mad. And this is when we learn back at the hotel that she really doesn't know him very well. It's like, you think you own me? You don't even know me. We've only been together for 2 weeks. It's like, oh my God, I was really shocked by that. And then we cut over to Harry and Flo, who are waking up. And I think they ended up hooking up in her semi. And they have a little chat. And Harry's upset that he gave the wrong antidote and all that stuff. And I don't know. There really wasn't much point to that scene, except it just kind of brings Flo into all of it, doesn't it?
Yeah. The night before, like when they were fighting, she says the next day that she's going to leave.
Oh, right.
She just wants him to drop him off somewhere, and he storms out. She finds him sleeping outside in the morning, and they get in the car together, and it just so happens that Harry and Flo are at the same truck stop as the motel that the young couple is staying at. And he sees...
I hate this stuff. I hate this when it's like this huge coincidence. They happen to be at the same place right where they were looking for him. He happens to walk out of the truck at the same moment that she's storming out and they're driving off. I mean, come on.
I know.
It's very much a movie contrivance. I know. But anyway, yeah, you're right. That happens. And it's a little comical, supposedly, because now Harry runs out with pulling all his pants up and his clothes half off into the street as he's trying to chase down the Jeep as it drives away. Flo's like, Harry.
Yeah, right. And so he sees them and he calls his friends and he gets the license plate number now. He has their license plate number at least. And then we're with the young couple and she's like, maybe I'll just catch a bus and go somewhere. And he's quiet until he just reaches his snake hand over between her legs and starts playing with her while she's driving, and she's really into it, and I still don't know what to make of this scene. Like,
No.
what is happening? First of all, even if we didn't know that this is like, I mean, it's not a full snake hand, but it's something weird, and it's disgusting. Even if we didn't know that, like, she should know. Oh, just no. but she's into it enough that they pull over and in a barn. And I guess she's pretty much okay with him now, except for they go to get back in the car and they're driving away. And she looks back and she's like, "Where's my birds?" And he's like, "I let them go." And she reaches back into the cage and finds more of that weird goo.
Yeah.
She thinks the snake is in there with them, but at that exact moment, they get pulled over by a cop.
Yeah, was he swerving or something? I was trying to sort out why he got pulled over.
I think he was speeding. He was speeding.
Okay. And the cop, okay, so then they're pulled over by these two cops, and the sheriff, who's got his nose bandaged that was nice. That was kind of an interesting touch. He's played by Bo Svensson, and we've seen him before. He was the Mad Doctor in Primal Rage just the same year that this came out.
Oh, that's funny. He did look familiar to me.
Oh, yeah. He was always playing these characters in these movies, you know. He was in Kill Bill and Inglourious Bastards. He's got a resume a mile long, and it's always he's the tough sheriff, or he's the tough army guy, or he's the drill sergeant or something like that. He was all over television and movies, mostly in the 70s and 80s and coming up into now. I mean, his last thing was on TV in 2024, so he's got a long career. But he was good. I liked his performance in this, too. I think it came across as genuine. And I was actually a little surprised at how well this scene came off, because it escalates in, I think, a very real way, taking into account that this sheriff is just kind of a dick. He thinks that he's on drugs. He wants to see under the bandage. Clark refuses to take the bandage off. She's like, "Why don't you just take the bandage off for him?" And he's like, "No." So then he tries to get him out of the car, and then gets him to open up the back and all this stuff. And eventually he's just like, "Yeah, this is drugs. And if you're not going to cooperate with me, I'm going to take you away." So he cuffs him, and he's going to take him away. Given the fact that this guy's maybe a little too dickish, now we know that's just not uncommon. But I thought the scene unfolded pretty realistically, how, he thinks this guy's on drugs, basically. He's asking to see his bandage. I'm not sure why. Maybe he thinks that he was shooting himself up there or something. He's going to see track marks. I have no idea. She's like, "Show him the bandage." And he's like, "No." And so, they go back and he wants to see in the trunk, and he finds a rifle and he confiscates the rifle. And basically he's just got enough probable cause to take him to the station. So he cuffs him up.
I guess.
I mean, he's being an asshole, but
true.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, I've seen movies where this is just handled really sloppily. Like, they got to get the main guy to the police station for something.
Yeah.
And you just have a cop for some dumb reason pulls him over, and for some dumb reason takes him away. This, I felt, was at least, it was a scene, and it felt real.
Yeah. I've certainly seen far more egregious infractions by law enforcement. Anyway, take his gun. So they leave her there, but she doesn't have the keys to the car. So Clark is in the back. So Clark is in the back of the cop car, and he's sick, and he's getting progressively sicker. Now, at this point, I would understand why they would think that he was either on narcotics or in withdrawal, because it is kind of what it looks like at this point. The sheriff gets out to take a pee on the side of the road, and the deputy, for reasons that I don't understand, goes back to the back seat and takes Clark's handcuffs off. I don't know why. I guess just because Clark was sick, and I think at this point he was kind of seizing, and foam was coming out of his mouth. So I don't know. Maybe he was being merciful, but it's a mistake, because Clark's now pretty much obvious snake arm shoots out and goes down the guy's throat and pulls out his still beating heart.
Yeah, was that what that was? That wasn't just his tongue and stuff?
I thought it was his heart, and that it was still beating, which is kind of silly, but I liked it.
I think you're right. I think that's what it was. It was silly, but it was gross, and it was kind of cool and over the top, and I don't mind that at all. Not
Yeah.
this movie.
And then I think that the sheriff walks back to the car, but we don't see what happens. I just assumed that Clark killed him, but he didn't because he comes back later. So I'm not really sure if Clark snuck away before the sheriff got back or what happened, but he walks back to where Lisa is.
And she's still there.
Yeah, well, I mean, where's she
Can
gonna go?
ride
She's
or
asleep.
anything.
She's asleep in the car. It's now early morning. He's in really bad shape, but he still doesn't want to go to the hospital. But she takes him anyway,
To another hospital that doesn't believe in turning the lights on.
and to another hospital where the only person that he deals with is a sexy lady doctor who is apparently the only one who is attending to him.
And he's the only one who needs attending to.
Well, and like she's kind to him and she tries to calm him and she says she's going to give him a sedative and she does. And then she takes off the bandages, which where did he get those bandages? Like,
I know, right?
the last thing we saw, he wrapped his hands in toilet paper at the bar. Anyway, she cuts off his professionally bandaged bandages and it's disgusting. And it looks like gangrenous, but it also looks like his fingers are fusing together.
Yes.
Meanwhile, at the same time, Harry shows up at the hospital. And then we get her, the lady doctor, dictating into a tape recorder her scientific findings. And I
Yes.
didn't even write them down because it was so scientific. And I'm like, that sounds legit, but I don't know.
Within minutes, this woman has figured out everything that's going on down to the DNA level. There's some neurotoxin from the snake bite that allowed the patient's T cells to accept foreign DNA, which then infected him and started replicating, and it suppressed the rejection of the body. I'm like, you've seen this guy for maybe 10 minutes and you heard from his girlfriend he had a snake bite and you took a look at his hand. What did you possibly do? What kind of lab do you have there that you were able to figure all this shit out? And you're just a doctor.
I don't even think she's drawn blood at this time.
Well, like, you're just a doctor. You're not like a scientist, like a DNA specialist or some shit. I don't know.
And it looks like they have taken x-rays of his hand and it looks like a snake. I don't get it.
It's like his whole arm's a snake. It's like his arm has the snake backbone and everything.
She does mention, I don't know if you caught it, and I have no idea how she would know this, but she says that an antidote had been administered, but had had no effect, either positive or negative. So what Harry did had no impact on what is happening. This would have happened regardless, but Harry doesn't know that. Anyway, the doctor tries to take a blood sample, but an eye opens on the snake hand. How does she not see that?
I know, right?
So weird. A freaking eye opens and is looking all around.
Cool eye, too.
Yeah, I like all these effects. They're practical and they're slimy, and it's a lot of close up, so you don't see a big picture, but it's yucky, and I really like it. And she takes a blood sample, but it's like then she is pushing out the air or whatever, and like a little bit of liquid comes out of the top, and it's clear. I don't even understand what's happening at this point. But the snake hand attacks her and rips the bottom part of her face off.
Yeah, it's another mouth attack. It's a little, maybe also, it's just a little phallic, all this that's kind of happening. I thought it lingered awful long on this big thing sticking out of her mouth as she's...
Yeah.
Anyway, it does rip her jaw off, and...
The snake also makes weird noises, by the way, just because we haven't mentioned it yet. It's kind of fun.
Clark gets angry and he tries to stab it. I think is this when he goes off to a bathroom?
He cuts it off.
Yeah, he ends up cutting it off, and that was awesome. That was really awesome, actually. The cut off bit. Again, just the effects are really fun. When that snake head flops into a sink, and we just see it opening and closing, and the tongue sticking out, and all that stuff. So you would almost think that this is been fixed because he cut the head off the snake, but like a hydra, it comes back even worse. Harry, by the way, has come into the hospital now, and before Clark cuts this off, and before he runs out to do that, Harry confronts Clark, initially very happily. Oh, yeah, I'm here. Can I get you to sign this form? And I'm going to give you the right antidote and all that stuff. And then when he almost trips over the nurse's body, he kind of freaks out. And we get a POV shot, I think from Harry's perspective. I mean, from Clark's perspective, as Harry's backing up and trying to talk his way out of this. And again, just like this sort of comical scene. And I thought that Harry bit it.
Me too.
He collapses and he kind of makes a moaning sound. And then it cuts away to Clark as he goes into another bathroom and cuts his hand off. Well, he hasn't done that yet. He leaves the hospital first and gets chased down by his girlfriend, who, again, is left without a vehicle.
And then he goes to the gas station and he cuts his hand off. Like, it tries to fight back, but he's able to chop it off. And Lisa shows up with that jerk cop. Like, I guess they're kind of working together now.
Friends again? Yeah.
And then some weird... Okay, so Clark sees them there, so he knows that they're after him. And he sneaks into a pickup truck and the cab of a pickup truck. And some weird... Swedish?
Yeah. I thought Amish for a
I
second.
don't know. And maybe Amish. I don't know. They talk like this.
I think it's Swedish.
And he gets in the car and he's like, it's not for me to ask what you did wrong. It's just for me to offer help. So I offer my help. And he drives him out of there. And Lisa sees but doesn't say anything. So she clearly she doesn't trust the cop either, but she's concerned and she's trying to find him too. Again, why? They've only known known each other for 2 weeks. Let it go, sister. Cut your losses. Yeah. Let the police deal with this.
Things have gotten weird enough.
It's time to go.
Find another guy who doesn't have a snake arm. And how she manages to track him down, I have no idea. She drives around in the rain until she just finds the house that he's at. It makes no sense. This couple, man, they've got a little daughter. Everything is just so like traditional.
This was the most bizarre scene of the movie to me. Like, it was really weird. We're all of a sudden thrown into this very strange dynamic where they've taken in this guy and she's like, I want to see him. I need to take him to the hospital. And they're like, no, we don't believe in the hospital. God will heal him. And like, what? Like, what are you talking about? This is insane. And the little girl is like, I want to see his hand. Okay.
Yep.
She goes upstairs and talks to him, and he says, it's okay now because I cut it off. I didn't have any control of it. And she's like, it's okay. It wasn't you who did all these things. It's not your fault. We'll go to the cops. We'll explain. They'll understand. Okay. Sure. That sounds perfectly reasonable. Oh, God.
So she falls asleep next to him. What?
Yes.
What is the deal with this hand? Like, would you fall asleep next to this guy?
No.
With his hand right there? Like, what? What is going on? Why is she still with him? Why is she so comfortable around him? Why is she on his side? He clearly doesn't want the help. He is turning her down at every turn. So it got a little silly, I thought. But anyway, she's there, and this girl, as religious as her family is, still thinks that it's okay for her to have toy swords. And so she wakes up in the middle of the night and decides to go upstairs and see the hand. She pokes and prods at the bandages. Oh, I was so hoping this girl was going to get it.
Yeah.
I was so hoping this girl was going to get it. Sometimes these Italian movies, man, they go in these fun directions that American movies won't. But no, she doesn't get it. But she does unleash the snake hand.
Yeah, she does. And it's oozy. And now the snake head is like even more pronounced than before. Like, it's a legit snake head.
Awesome.
And everybody screams. Clark screams. Lisa screams. The little girl screams. Everybody screams. The dad comes upstairs with a shotgun. It's so stupid, but I still like it for whatever reason. I don't know why. The snake shoots its tongue out, Freddy Krueger style, and wraps it around the Swede's neck. And then he falls on the wall and hits his head, and like there's blood everywhere. And then the snake shoots goo in the mom's face. And while the little girl is in the background watching and crying, and I just have in my notes, yeah, it's your fault. Like, if you hadn't been so nosy, you wouldn't have had to watch your parents get killed by a mutant snake hand.
And you're going to have to live with that for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And Lisa finally tries to get away in the car, but Clark slithers onto the top of the car, which was a shot that I actually really liked.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it looks And I say that loosely, but it looks kind of like his body slithers up onto the top of the car.
Oh yeah,
And then
it
he's on
does.
top of the car and he comes down over the windshield and he has like a snake tongue that comes through the vent in the car and is messing with her. And
Wrapping around her hand.
he's transforming on the windshield and it's this gross 80s practical transformation. It's slimy and his face is getting all distorted and his eyeballs fall out and land on the glass and slide down the glass. I thought this looked really, from this point on, it's a lot of fun. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. From here, it's just all special effects, and it's so much fun. I love the eyeball, and still they insist on making this so poetic. Like these shots when the eyeball pops out of his head and it slides slowly down this windshield.
Yeah.
We get this extreme close up of it with all the juiciness and the bubbles in there as it kind of slowly slide. It's like the movie kind of stops every few moments to be like, "Isn't this cool though?"
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And there's so much KY in these scenes. It's insane. Like these big globs of like sacky KY fall out of his mouth and like snake starts crawling out of the sacks. And she crashes the Jeep and she somehow gets her body trapped in this deep mud ditch. It's like a trench. I'm not sure what it is, but a construction site or something. And she's in this big trench and she can't get out. She's, slithering through the mud and she goes through a standpipe and the snakes are chasing her through there. And then Clark is crawling towards her through there. And then she falls out of the pipe into a mud pit and he leans out over the mud pit and barfs snakes all over her. Like first a bunch of little ones and then a couple big, huge ones slither out of his mouth. And these definitely are real snakes.
Oh yeah. Where all these snakes come from, I have no idea. There's like
From inside him, I guess. I don't.
Yeah, but where were they? Where were they inside of him? Like there are more
He's just
snakes,
all
and
full of
they are
snakes.
huge. They are huge. What did you say?
I said he's just all full of snakes. Like his whole body's just all full of snakes, and they just
It's
didn't
just
know
snakes. He's been dead for a long time, and he's just been a big snake puppet this whole time.
I think so. And then he slithers towards her, and she impales him on a pole. And then he's like all pathetic, like he's like, oh, and she reaches out to him and he reaches out to her, but then his head splits at the jaw, like the upper half of his head just splits back.
That was so
man. Cool. It looks great.
And then it cuts away and I'm like, don't cut away from this.
I know.
But it comes back.
But eventually a giant mutant bone snake, so weird looking, like comes out, of his head. And Dix and Harry show up and the cop throws her a rope and is trying to pull her out, but the big bone snake is following her. And then right at the last second, the snake pops up and Harry, I guess, grabs one of the cop's rifles, disarms a police officer apparently, and shoots the snake and its head blows off. And he's standing there with Flo, like they're just there together at the pit with the police, and all the police are standing around, and they pull Lisa out and they wrap her in a blanket and they sit her on the car and she looks towards the camera. The end.
Might as well.
It's over.
Well, it's over. Yeah. Their relationship is over. Worst boyfriend ever. She's going to be telling this story for a long time to come.
Guys, I had the craziest weekend.
And it ends with her boyfriend's head opening up like a Pez dispenser. I thought just when the effects couldn't get any more fun, that happened, and I was all in on it. I mean, it's a very simple story, but it's pretty well shot, and it's pretty well acted. I thought it dragged at times, like I said before, and I don't think I really pointed out when I thought it dragged, but about the 30-minute mark, I started to get a little impatient for something more significant to happen. And when they were going through all this stuff in the bar and whatnot, I was just kind of like, all right, like, we get it. Like, let's move on. But, I don't know. I actually thought it was still pretty good. When I say pretty good, I mean, I don't think my mom would enjoy this movie. I don't think my dad would enjoy this movie.
No.
But for a horror movie, it's got enough to keep you entertained. And the special effects payoffs all the way through it are enough reason to watch it. It's fun. And to see all these cool actors. Like Jack still just likes I just like seeing Jamie Farr in whatever he's in. He's just a fun old chap.
Yeah.
And I like watching it.
Yeah, I actually quite liked it. And I think that some of our podcast friends would really like it. If you're into, and I don't know. I mean, I saw it when I was young. So if you're our age, maybe you did too. Maybe you picked it up at the video store, but I don't think that it's widely seen.
No, God, no.
As far as I can tell, it's not streaming anywhere other than all over YouTube. Like,
yeah,
there are a dozen posts of it in its entirety on YouTube. And I would say if you haven't seen it and you're a fan of 80s horror and you're a fan of practical effects, I actually think you'll really like it. I really liked it. I agree with you that it drags in the middle, but I think that the beginning and the end are both really good and worth watching.
It was a good choice. Thank you, Craig. Well, if you enjoyed this podcast and you've seen this movie especially, reach out to us. We'd love to hear about it. You can find us online, chainsawhorror.com, or you can just search Two Guys in a Chainsaw Podcast and find us all over. You can also find our Patreon at patreon.com/chainsaw podcast, where for just $5 a month, you can get access to the complete unedited phone calls that I use to put these podcasts together, with all the personal stuff we talk about before and after, and all the little things that I cut out in the middle. We also have mini-sodes that we put up, and we also have a really cool book club where we're reading horror books and getting together by video to discuss them. If that sounds appealing to you, just go to patreon.com/chainsaw podcast and sign up and join the family. It's a lot of fun. Until next time, I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
With Two Guys and a Chainsaw.